Lots to do on this Monday night, including finding a needy veteran with a special asset.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I don't know if you've ever seen a TrackChair. I just actually saw a video. I mean, I've seen them before, but man, is the technology incredible. Guess what? There's been a local fundraising effort to actually provide a local veteran with one. The challenge now is to find the veteran that needs one, and we'll talk about that tonight. How are you? Great to have you aboard. When we finish the show tonight, it does not get top billing on the show, but I learned a lesson this weekend. Never watch the Derby without the audio. Because sometimes you think you've won, and you haven't. And you tell people that you've won, and you haven't. And they decide drinks on you, and you haven't. So we'll tell you about that a little bit later on.
You're still a winner, Dan.
I'm still a winner, Lexi says. Well, my wallet doesn't say so. Greetings. Monday to the rundown, which is over here. Yeah, so we got $1 million governor. Everyone's all excited that she's got all this dough. Look at the headline here. Oh, well, you know what? God bless her. I mean, listen, unfortunately, money is the mother's milk of politics, right? So you got to raise the money. But the problem is that she's spending a whole lot more time raising the money than she is anything else, it seems to me. She was in San Francisco last week, and she was raising money in addition to legging it out for Rhode Island's economy, trying to network and find businesses to come in here. And, you know, she told another media outlet that she was going out for business purposes, and it was learned by yet another media outlet that, guess what, there was a fundraiser. And so now everyone's kind of apoplectic about that. And we're trying to figure out what her priorities are. And I've been telling you that it's a 50-50 chance that if Hillary Clinton wins this election, she's gone anyway. She won't need the $1 million. By the way, the $1 million is state campaign money. It doesn't work for a federal race. So even if she ran for Congress or Senate, she'd have to send all the money back and get it back again. They're different accounts. You can't mix those accounts. But the one thing that was getting everybody excited last week, was cracking me up. Here's Ted Nesi's post on the website about the fundraising, and amongst the things that Ted has wrote on that story and others is that Gina Raimondo spent $700 for a haircut. Now, doesn't take much. And I'm not a girl, so I don't know, how much it can be sometimes to. But even a lot of girls called the radio show last week and suggested that that was way too much money. The problem is that Gina Raimondo got the haircut for one of the Cooler Warmer videos, like the media campaign. And I guess what happened is that she went ahead and she billed the campaign, the taxpayers in the marketing budget for the $700 haircut. And when the hair hit the fan, she reimbursed. And I upset everybody by saying, I really don't care about this. If she had to get dolled up for a particular video to look particularly executively, so what? Here's the moral of the story. You guys get all upset over $700 haircuts. We got a $9 billion budget that is all messed up. If you paid half the attention to the $9 billion budget that you spend getting all excited about a $700 haircut, we'd be in a whole lot better shape. Does that make any sense to you? Here is the thing. I feel a renewed momentum when it comes to the anti-grant situation. The Providence Journal ran their own editorial on Sunday opposing the grant program. Ken Block got some more print time in the Providence Journal. Here's the headline on his op-ed piece: Corrupt Legislative Grants. This is what I affectionately call, well, it's called the Roman tuck. And what it is the little 400, well, listen, there's the big grants that Chairman Gallison got all jammed up for last week. I have no time here to get into that. But the legislative grants are the little $400, $500, $600, $800, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, maybe even $5,000 grants that your legislator gets to bring home the bacon for the Little League or whatever, right? And then they get the big exercise check and they go in the Valley Breeze, cheesy smile. Here's the check. And you, because you're not paying attention, think, wow, they're really connected and doing a great job for us. You have no idea what they have to do to get that $5,000 check. They have to sell their souls, as Ken Block aptly pointed out last week.
I believe the grant programs are utterly corrupt. They are a horrible way to fund some programs that have a lot of merit and are good programs. We do things for funding these types of programs very differently than most other states do, and they have to go. These grant programs have to disappear, and I think that the best way to get them gone is a legal challenge, and the only person in the state who can make that legal challenge is the governor.
With or without $700 worth of hairdo, she can do that. And in fact, if she would just focus on three things, demand, like I hear the House Speaker is going to cough up tomorrow, an ethics commission rebuild, meaning a new law to rebuild the ethics commission. That would be number one. Number two would be this grant program. And number three would be the line item veto, which she spit out 2 weeks ago, kind of obscurely, to Randall Edgar in the Providence Journal. We have that quote, right, Kevin? I'd love the line item veto. It's the only time she's ever said it. Sometimes you got to say things 2, 3, 4, maybe 200 times in order to make it happen. Governor, let's go. Let's do some reform. The time is ripe. People are feeling it. They want something different, so they say, including Donald Trump, so they say, who's got a problem with the Speaker of the House, so he says. We've got a headline here. Now, Trump's warning Ryan that he might dispose of him as the chairperson of the GOP convention in California. Last week, Paul Ryan said, look, I'm just not ready to endorse this guy.
Just not ready to do that at this point. I'm not there right now. I think what is necessary to make this work, for this to unify, is to actually take our principles and advance them.
So Donald's thinking, you know what, this unification thing,
I think it would be better if it were unified, but I don't think it actually has to be unified in the traditional sense.
then he tweeted this out this morning. I win the election against crooked Hillary despite the people in the Republican Party that are currently and selfishly opposed to me. Oh, I feel so presidential when I read that. I mean, I feel like we have such a president, crooked Hillary. It's going to be, that's what it's being, crooked Hillary. All for the rest of 2016, crooked Hillary. Let me guess what's happening here. Here's what I think's happening. So Ryan and Trump have a meeting coming up Thursday. I think Ryan's playing rope-a-dope here. My thinking is Ryan says, you nominate a vice presidential dude or gal that matches our conservative standards and our establishment priorities, we play ball. You don't? See ya. I think Donald's ego is so big he might say, you don't tell me who to nominate. And they go their separate ways. Now, if Donald gets smart and says, you know what, I can have you guys behaving if I pick your guy or gal, we'll see. But I think that's what it's all about. That's why Ryan's not jumping on the bandwagon quite too soon. And that's my thinking on that. The trans deadline is a national conversation that is really ringing the phones on talk radio all across the country. Here's the headline where North Carolina files suit against the federal government. Did you follow this? Okay, look, here's what's going on. The city of Charlotte passed a city ordinance that said you can go to the bathroom in the place that you identify with. If you feel like you're a woman, you go to the ladies' room. If you feel like you're a man, you go to the men's room. The state of North Carolina said, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. And by the way, the city of Charlotte's not going to tell the entire state what to do. So the legislature in North Carolina passed a bill that says you go to the bathroom where your birth certificate says you go. In other words, if your birth certificate says you're a little boy or a little girl, that's where you're going. The federal government on late Thursday of last week, issued an edict to North Carolina saying, you know what, you reverse your state thing, go back to the Charlotte thing, or we're taking all your federal money away, including North Carolina University of North Carolina, and all their other federal spending. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Gave them 3 days. 3 days. So Governor McCrory is now saying, look, I'm not buying into this, and I'm suing you back. But I'm looking for federal court clarification as to what the right thing to do is, and he's calling on Congress to pass new legislation to codify who goes to what bathroom where. When it all comes down to it, Stephen Alexander, one of my favorites here, a young man who is transgendered, who appeared on the show Friday, put it in this context.
Have a long way to go. There's much work that needs to be done in terms of having the broader population be educated on the issues and to really know that everybody is affected by these trans issues. So trans rights are human rights.
Let me say this. I'm a pretty conservative guy, you know. But I don't really care where you go to the bathroom. I really don't. And if you feel comfortable going to the bathroom, where you go to the bathroom, I want you to feel comfortable going to the bathroom, where you go to the bathroom. I think this thing will work out in the transgendered city of Charlotte's favor, but it's going to be messy, no doubt, because all social change is messy. All righty. Hey, listen, we got we got not a trans chair, but a track chair. A lot of T's in the show today. Oh, sorry, Kev, I jumped the gun too soon. Here's the video of what a track chair looks like. And these are pictures, I guess, of various soldiers who have used that gentleman, I guess, that soldier is, in the wild, hanging out with bears because he can, because he's got the mobility to do so. And here's some videos of some different uses of this chair, which stands up, sits down, rolls. We'll get to the technical part of this coming up in just a little bit. But I welcome back my friend, District 1 Commander of the VFW, Antonio Fonseca. Sir, welcome back.
Thank you, Dan.
You're looking great as always. You're working on a project. What is this all about? I mean, executive summary is you have a chair, you've raised some money for a chair, you need someone who needs it.
We do, but before I get into that, Dan, I want to say thank you for supporting the veterans of foreign wars and all veterans.
Sure.
This venue here couldn't be happening unless it was for you, so thank you. We have a track chair that we're looking for recipients to get this track chair, and quite frankly, that's the most difficult part that we're having right now. We have not found any large amount of candidates. We actually have 3 right now. We would like to have as many as 20 so that we can find the most appropriate person to receive this track chair.
Okay, you know what? That sets the conversation. When we come back, we'll talk more about how this whole thing started, how many track chairs might be in the pipeline. I mean, they're expensive, so stay with us. And we'll find out how it works, because it's really high tech. Stay with us. All right, back to find someone who can use this track chair. Right now, there's one in the pipeline. David Nuttall is also from the Smithfield Post, 2929. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, high energy guys here. Who came up with this idea at the beginning?
Well, it was actually one of our Post members, Gary Gerhardt. He happened to see this being on television and newspapers and thought it would be a great idea if we got behind this campaign to find an individual who could who had extreme issues, can't get outside anymore, can't go hunting, can't go fishing, can't spend out time just going to the park. He thought that we could help this person to be able to maximize this chair to enhance his own personal life.
Well, this is kind of interesting. You found a concept without a recipient. Oftentimes, fundraising and
Cart and a horse.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Usually it's, hey, this person needs something, let's go raise some money and get this facility for this person. Instead, you figure someone's going to need it, right?
Well, unfortunately, the way it's been going, we've had a lot of people that put themselves, left parts of themselves on the battlefield. And so there are people out there that can use this piece of equipment. With just a regular wheelchair, they're restricted to hard surfaces. With the track chair, there's no restriction. I mean, the treads on this thing are made out of snowmobile treads. So there's no place that this track chair can't go. I'm not sure it's submersible. You'd have to ask the technical expert who you got next on that one.
Right.
But I mean, as far as fording water, being out hiking with the family, and doing all this stuff, we've worked for over a year with Gary on the fundraising on this. It's going very well. We're not anticipating on having any problem at all with the money to pay for the track chair. The problem we're having, as Tony said, is getting somebody that's qualified.
This blows me away. I'm surprised. Well, how? I'm surprised.
I have to admit too, Dan, I think we're all surprised that we have not been able to get a large amount of candidates. I mean, I guess on one hand, I think that's a good thing, but I know that there's men and women out there that, as Dave's pointed out, that left their body parts on the battlefield.
I don't understand this. So the Veterans of Foreign Wars are obviously connected into the network of the military. Are you telling me that We have so much dysfunction in this country when it comes to the heroic service of our men and women in the military, and then what happens when they're, when they come home. I mean, there's some things that are working well, there's some things that are not working very well. I cannot believe that you go ahead and fundraise for a TrackChair, and you don't go into some database, and find
Not available.
X number of candidates to be able to use
I had
this
a
wonderful piece
conversation-
of equipment.
I had a conversation the other day with one of our younger members who's still active with the National Guard. And I tasked him, because he's in contact with all the units that have been deployed and things like that. He says, we've been lucky. He said they either come home with 6 people carrying the box, or they come home with all the appendages. But there's got to be a veteran, even if he wasn't disabled fighting for his country, if he's a veteran and he's disabled, then we're still able to help. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one of those individuals that may have stepped on an IED or anything like that. It could be a guy that came home like me. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I came home with everything I went over with. And maybe somewhere along the line I got disabled, and I could qualify for it.
Anybody? Anybody? When we come back, we'll talk to you about its assets and how it works. Pretty high tech. Stay with us. All right, welcome back in. Tim Hare is with TrackChair. Is that your company, or you're a representative of? What's
No,
that?
we're the dealer for Southern New England.
Dealer for Southern New England.
Right. TrackChair is from Marshall, Minnesota.
Okay.
They're manufactured out in Marshall, Minnesota.
All right. So how does a TrackChair work? We have some video of this, Kevin. We can play that, and Tim can talk a little bit about the technology and how this baby operates.
Well, it's basically a wheelchair with tracks.
All right, good. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
the founder of it, it was a necessity. His son was paralyzed when he was 16 in a car accident, and he was in the business of selling ATVs and snowmobiles and going outdoors, and his children were all outdoors, and now all of a sudden his son was stuck on hard surfaces. So he, for 10 years, tried to figure out how do you put tracks on a wheelchair, and they developed it in 2009, and it's been phenomenally received by people in the paraplegic space, and people that have lost
the
their
technology,
limbs.
veterans or not that we're going to veer off from what our purpose here. We're looking for a veteran who could use a TrackChair. The money's been raised by the District Post 2929 in Smithfield. They've done the fundraising for this, and now they need a worthy recipient. But the technology in working with the disabled is incredible. I was saying to you prior to the show, my mom was paralyzed from the neck down, and was incapable of doing anything with her limbs, and she could literally move her tongue around like this and move the chair.
Right.
But I do remember the legitimate nightmare that it was when we wanted to move Mom across the lawn.
Right.
Hey, we're having a picnic, and move her across the lawn. That chair wasn't lit. We could get her out of a chair,
Right.
then move the chair, then put her back in the chair. Hoyle lift. This is not easy. So
No,
this
it's
is an
not.
incredible piece of technology.
It
we're
is,
talking
and
about.
it really liberates the people to get off the pavement. People that are outdoors, people, especially veterans, they're active young men coming back from the war, missing things that they went over there with, giving for our country, and now they're confined to being on pavement. This goes where no other chair can go.
Is business brisk?
No, it's not like it's a booming business, because there's, it's a limited market, but business is very good, yes, and where a lot of it has to do with private people who are not veterans.
Sure.
But
right. But I'm guessing it's a non-coverable item too, right? Most insurance
that's right.
is not going to cover this
Most
kind of
insurance companies do not cover them, and that's a barrier for
Right.
a lot of people to get them. So it's wonderful that they've raised the money to buy one and give it to a veteran.
Well, I think there's two things that are a benefit here. A, you guys came up with a great idea. You've got a chair now that you'd like to get into somebody's hands, a veteran. But you've also created some awareness for the actual product itself for those who are non-veterans to actually look into it, because your market is vast, your need is exclusive, but the two, I think, are mutually compatible conversations here.
Exactly.
I'm still confused as to why the VA can't supply you with some names of people who are in their health custody.
My understanding, it's part of the Privacy Act, where the VA, I guess by law, cannot do that, but it just seems to me that, you know, they could contact those people that they thought had a need and ask those people to contact us directly, and that takes care of...
Have you been to all the local VA facilities to say, hey, listen, we got this, baby? And they say what?
We've had the chair there.
And they say what?
We can't help you because of the privacy. We can't give you the names.
Well, you know, this is like the old the help me help you, Jerry Maguire. You know,
That's where you come in.
Show me the
help
money.
me.
You've got to get out to the people.
You help me, help you. Why the VA wouldn't have the instinct and reaction to say, hey, Dave, thanks very much, or Tony, thanks very much. Give me a week, guys. By the way, you know, and walk through the wards and what are they going to do, and check the files and actively pursue this wonderful asset that you guys have raised money for. That is as dysfunctional as anything I've heard this week. It's only Monday, but right?
There's got to be a way to cut through the bureaucracy and just think about the need. Somewhere in the state of Rhode Island, there's a veteran or more that has a need for this vehicle. Right. And I mean, just even if it's just, I mean, you saw people that were on a ranch feeding the cows. Doesn't have to be somebody who wants to go out and sports shoot. Doesn't have to be somebody who wants to go fishing. But it could be somebody who wants to do all of those and can't.
Okay, I mean, you know, I don't judge you guys for putting the cart before the horse. Instinctively, I would have been right there with you. Yeah, let's raise some money and put because there's got to be. And to find out that the got to be's turned into could there be, or could anybody help us find the bee, is just embarrassing to the country. So, hey, VA, get your act together. And those of you who are watching the show who know somebody, let us know via, what are we doing here? Through the website at foxprovidence.com, and what else? And via email here at Dan York State of Mind. What's her email address? Oh, and there you go. And there's and listen, contact the Post 2929 in Smithfield, and mobilize a vet, for heaven's sake. All right, guys, good work. We'll keep in touch. We'll throw this on the radio too. We'll find the needy vet.
Thanks, Dan.
Good work. Nice technology.
Thank you.
Nice
for
to
your
meet
help.
you. Be careful what you bet next. All right, listen, you know, I grew up at the track. I should know what I'm doing. Down this stretch they come, Kev. Roll the video, right? So Nyquist is coming like a you-know-what, right? Nyquist wins, going away. But for some reason, I don't know if it's the mint juleps or whatever it was, I think there's a banner around the number, right? You see that? You see how the one might look like a band, like the border? Anyway, I thought it was the 3. There was no audio at the bar, so because I have $50 on the 3. He was at 20-1. I'm thinking a G-note. I'm saying drinks for everybody. Well, somebody taps me on the shoulder, says it's a 13. And I said, I don't have it. They said, too late, Dan. See you later.